topic is structure of tooth. In structure of tooth, we are having three parts. Number one is crown, number two is neck, and number three is root. These three parts that are present in the structure of tooth. This is the structure of tooth. So first of all, crown. This part is called crown. This is called crown, and this part is called neck. This part, like from here to here, this part is called crown, and from here to here, this part is called neck, and from here to here, this whole part is called root. So these are the three parts that are present in the structure of the tooth. First of all, we will talk about the crown. This is the crown. Like on the upper part of the crown, there is a present enamel. On the upper part of the crown, enamel is a present. This is a upper part of crown. Basically, enamel is a shiny, visible part. Visible part that is visible in a tooth. You can also see that will be the visible. So that is called the shiny, that will be looks like shiny visible part, that is called the enamel, present on the upper part of the crown. So that is called the enamel. Now enamel, I'll write here. Enamel is the hardest substance. It is the hardest substance. Basically, it present in the ectodermal region. Ectodermal in region. We are having three regions: ectodermal, endodermal, and mesoderm. So basically, this is present. Enamel is present in the ectodermal in the region. Now enamel is made up of the calcium phosphate and fluoride. It is made up of the calcium phosphate and the fluoride, and the chemical name of the calcium phosphate and fluoride, that is hydroxyapatite. This is the chemical name of the calcium phosphate and the fluoride, that is hydroxyapatite. Basically, this is crystal in structure, crystal-like in the structure. So the enamel is made up of the calcium phosphate and fluoride, that is chemical name of that is hydroxyapatite. Now another thing, that is enamel lined up with ameloblast cells. These are cells that enamel is lined up with the ameloblast cell. If the amount of fluoride in our tooth will be increased, then the disease will happen, that will call the dental fluorosis. This is a disease. If the amount of the fluoride will increase in a tooth, so the disease will happen, that is called a dental fluorosis. For when this will happen, it will decaying our tooth and decolorization of tooth. So when the amount of the fluoride will increase in our tooth, so the disease will happen, that called the dental fluorosis. After that, it will start decaying and the decolorization of the tooth. So that was the enamel, that was the part of the crown. Now we'll talk about the neck. As here you can see, this is the neck part. Basically neck is attached here. I'm writing here. This is also neck. Neck is attached with gums. These are the gums. So the neck is attached with the gums. I'm writing. Neck is attached with gums. Neck is attached with the gums. Basically neck is the invisible part. It is the invisible part, as animal was the visible part, so this is the invisible part. Here this neck is the invisible part. This is the invisible part. So after that we are having number 3 is root. Here in root we are having, this is the alveolar bone. Alveolar bone present outside of the tooth. This is the alveolar bone. This is the alveolar bone in which the tooth is which means attached. So that is called the alveolar bone. After that we are having that this we are having one part. This part is called dentine. You can say this part is called the dentine. Now the dentine is lined up with the cells called odinoblast cell. This is lined up with the odinoblast cells. This is the mesodermal in origin, as this one enamel was the ectodermal in origin. This is a mesodermal in origin. After that this dentine is made up of the calcium salt. Calcium enamel was made up of the calcium phosphate and fluoride, and dentine is made up of the calcium salt. After that here I will write outer layer of dentine called the periodontal membrane. Periodontal membrane. Here you will see this is the periodontal layer. This is the outer layer of the dentine called the periodontal layer. After that, this is the periodontal membrane. This is the outer layer of the dentine. This is the dentine part, so this is called the periodontal membrane or periodontal layer. That is the outer layer of the dentine. Now after that, layer present between the periodontal membrane and bone called cementing layer. Here you will see this is the periodontal membrane and this is the bone, right? This is the bone. So the layer between the periodontal membrane and bone, that this layer will be called the cementing layer. Layer between a periodontal membrane, this is the periodontal membrane and this is the bone, right? So the layer between the periodontal membrane and bone, that is called a cementing layer. After that, we will write region between periodontal membrane and dentine called the apical foramen. Now what is apical foramen? As I said, region between the periodontal membrane and dentine. This is the dentine part and this is the periodontal. Now this region, I will show you this region. This region is called the apical foramen. Here. Apical foramen, this region, or we can say opening of the dentine. Here I will write apical foramen. We can also say opening of dentine called the apical foramen. Basically, the apical foramen allows for the entrance and exit of the nerve and blood vessels. Here you can see basically, first of all, I will tell you about the nerves and blood vessels where these are present. This region is called the pulp cavity. Down, or we can say down part of the crown. Here one cavity is present called the pulp cavity. In this pulp cavity, contain blood vessels and nerves. Here you can see these are the blood vessels and these are the nerves. So this contains the blood vessel and nerve. Pulp cavity contains the blood vessels and nerves, and this is the living part. This is a living part. Why it is a living part? Because it contains the blood vessels and the nerves, so it is called the living part. Blood is used for the supplying of oxygenated blood. Blood vessels are used for the supply of oxygenated blood. Apart from that, pulp cavity is filled with the connective tissues. First of all, we will review what was this. We are having three parts: crown, neck and root. First of all, we will talk about the crown. Here this region is called the crown, and the upper region of the crown called the enamel, and the enamel, here I have written this. Enamel is made up of the calcium phosphate and fluoride. The chemical name of them is hydroxyapatite, that is in the structure of crystal. Now enamel lined up with the amyloblast cells. When the amount of fluoride will increase, the disease will happen called the dental fluorosis. After dental fluorosis, the decaying of the tooth will start and the decolorization of teeth will start. Apart from this, next part is neck. This is the neck part that is basically attached with the gums. It is an invisible part. Enamel was a visible part, and this neck is the invisible part. After that, we are having root part. In this, we are having here alveolar bone. This is a bone in which the tooth is attached, or we can say it is a cavity where the tooth is attached. Apart from this, we are having here dentine. It is the outer layer of dentine called the periodontal layer, and it is lined up with the odinoblast cells. It is mesodermal in region and made up of the calcium salt. Outer layer of dentine, as I told, it is the periodontal membrane, and layer between the periodontal membrane and bone called the cementing layer. This one is called the cementing layer. After that, the region between periodontal membrane and dentine called the apical foramen. After that, this apical foramen allows for the entrance and the exit of the nerve and blood vessels. So that was the structure of the tooth.